Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Ken Singleton Report here on YesNetwork.com. I'm Joe Oriema. With me is the aforementioned Ken Singleton. So, Kenny, we're a quarter of a way through the season, a little over a quarter of a way now. Should Yankee fans be concerned with what's going on with their team?
Well, it kind of reminds me of what happened last year. And sure, you should be concerned. The team is not playing particularly well. I mean, they haven't been hitting well with runners in scoring position. The pitching has been somewhat iffy at times. And it just seemed they can't get it done at this point in the season. But I recall last year, and they were about in the same place as they were last year, and actually they're not as far behind as they were last year at this time of the year. So I would think that this team certainly can get it together, and when they do, they'll start to play much better baseball, and things will brighten up, unlike it is right now when it's starting to rain out here.
I was just going to say, it's actually a shocking fact right now. It's raining in New York. I can't believe it, Kenny. Looking at, that pitching you were talking about, Mike Mussina, other than his outing against the Orioles, he's been solid. Pettit, he threw a little bit better in his last start. But what can you say about guys like Pettit and Ian Kennedy? What do the Yankees need from these guys?
Well, they need to get Andy out of the fourth inning. I mean, up to the fourth inning has been pretty good and pretty solid. But Andy has always been sort of a second-half pitcher in his career. When you look at his career stats, I think he's won 2 out of every 3 decisions in the second half of the season. You'd like to see him pitch much better, and maybe he will gradually as we get towards the halfway point in the year. But Ian Kennedy, I think, just needs to settle down a little bit. I thought he threw a little bit better in his last start. He'll pitch against the Orioles in the final game of the series here, and we'll find out if he's improving even more. I thought he settled down a lot in his last start, although he didn't get the win.
Now, Robinson Cano seems to be taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Why can't he just get out of this slump?
Well, he's another player who seems to be a second-half player, although, we would think that there would be a little more consistency there. He's been in the league for a while now, and he certainly knows the pitchers, and the pitchers know him. I think at times, Joe, he gets a little impatient at the plate, and he goes up there swinging at whatever comes up there. And I know as a former hitter, pitchers know that, and they're not giving you the best stuff to hit. And if he's going to show impatience and swing the first or second pitch and put it in play, usually it's going to be a pitch that's just out of the zone. When you're not hitting well, you have to become even more disciplined. You have to look for pitches within the strike zone, try and get ahead on counts, work the count a little more, and then you can be more successful.
And your former team, the Baltimore Orioles, are actually playing pretty well right now. Weren't picked to be a real contender in the American League or the American League East. What have you seen from the Orioles this season? Well,
I think one thing you've seen from them that you haven't seen from the Yankees, and although the Orioles don't have the prolific offense that the Yankees have, they seem to be getting the hits at the right time. And one of the players that I can point out in their lineup that kind of personifies the whole team is Melvin Mora. His overall average is something like 255, but he's second in the league in hitting in runners in scoring position, well over 400. And to me, there's only 2 players on the Yankees who have really done that so far this year. You got Derek Jeter, who's among the league leaders, and Bobby Abreu, who's been very respectable, up near 380 with runners in scoring position. But when you look at the rest of the team, everybody else is below 300. So if you can't seem to get that hit at the right time, that means there's not going to be many comeback victories, and that's been the case for the Yankees this year. They have not come back to win a game after the 8th inning. That's something that's been a staple with this team for years. And I also think even more glaring is they've only had 1 comeback since the 4th inning this year. So that is even worse.
Yeah. That's pretty glaring. Now, Jorge Posada was running out here today. How important, you can't stress how good Posada actually is and how much he means to this team, but how much they need Posada back in this lineup.
Well, his legs are fine. We know that, but it's his shoulder that's the problem. And, not only at the plate. When he went out of the lineup, he was hitting 300 from both sides of the plate, something that he did very well last year, and he's certainly one of the best hitting catchers the Yankees have ever had. But calling a game, I think they missed that as well. He knows the hitters around the league as well as any catcher in this league because he's been around a long time. He has a good feel for what pitch should be called at what time, and that hasn't been happening either for the Yankees. And when they have a tendency to give up a big hit, you have a feeling that Posada might have been able to make a difference. I think with Jose Molina, you're starting to see that he is a backup catcher.
Right.
But when he's pressed into duty on a daily basis, you're not going to get the production you get out of Jorge Posada.
Right. All right, well, Kenny, I'm not going to keep you in this rain any longer. This has been the Ken Singleton Report here on YesNetwork.com. Keep coming back to YesNetwork.com for video exclusives and interviews. I'm Joe Oriema saying we'll see you next time on the Ken Singleton Report.